Welcome to SAT TV's news. I am Larry Larrock, your presenter. In our top stories, Dominican police officers complete RSS instructors training. US issues new warning on crime in Bahamas. Syrian refugees in Lebanon face polio threat. And in sports, Shane Chillingford suspended by ICC. Details of these will follow. SAT Telecommunications Limited is in the process of reorganizing our channels. In this endeavor, some channels will be off temporary and new ones will be introduced. SAT Telecommunications Limited is pleased to inform you of a number of new channels. We have just added for your viewing pleasure Lifetime Movie Channel, Lifetime Real Women, Discovery Civilization, Discovery Science, Discovery Turbo, and many other new ones to come. We are sure that you will enjoy the new programming, which will enhance your viewing pleasure and provide you with many more channels. SAT Telecoms thanks you for your continuous support and understanding throughout this initiative, and we will keep you informed as the changes occur. Welcome back. On Friday, December 13, 2013, the DAIDB, Dominican Agricultural, Industrial and Development Bank, conducted an orientation session for the interns assigned to the bank under the Government of Dominica's National Employment Program, NEP. During his address to the interns, General Manager of the Aid Bank, Mr. Julius Corbett, advised them of the role and operations and services of the Aid Bank while commending them on their academic achievements in their various fields of study.
This mentorship program is meant to do a few things. One is to give you the opportunity to put together the skills and talents you have acquired at university. Some of you have just come from university, I understand. Some of you have been in the workforce before. Coming here is in itself a major acquisition for you. From what I understand, you went through a recruiting process, and from all appearances, you all did very well at the end. So you did so well that we grabbed onto you.
He urged the interns to work hard to help the bank achieve its objectives during a time when it is going through a transition. Mr. Corbett encouraged them to be punctual, to follow the instructions of their managers, and to adhere to the dress code of the bank, while expressing intolerance for deviant behavior, and in essence, appealed to them to make the best use of this opportunity.
In the final analysis, we hope, as we go through 2014-2019 strategic planning, that we may be able to incorporate one or two into our long-term goals. So you got a lot of you have a time to show off. Don't be afraid to show off. I am a great believer in the team spirit, so I expect you to work closely with the team of your department and put your best foot forward.
One of the interns, Mr. Shannon Loda, said it was a long process to get to this point. However, he is grateful for the opportunity.
I have a bachelor's in economics, recently graduated from this work, and I strongly believe that with the knowledge I accomplished, I guess I will do a very good job and help the bank institution meet their goals.
Another intern, Ms. Ayla George, said she will utilize all she learned during her university studies for a degree in media and communications. She explained to get to this point, she submitted an application form in the Ministry of Trade, then attended an orientation session at the National Employment Programs Expo, and then was selected as an intern for the Aid Bank.
Also, I'll benefit because I'll be getting experiences that perhaps if I was working freelance, I might not have gotten clients that I may not have been able to interact with. And not to mention, there are managers here and people who have a wealth of experience that they can contribute to my development.
The interns are expected to work with the bank for an initial period of 6 months. In more news, President of Dominica, His Excellency Charles Savre, is urging Dominicans to take care of their health and to avoid indulging in activities and lifestyles, food and drinks that can be detrimental to their health. He made the statement in an address during the President's annual Christmas visit to the PMH Princess Margaret Hospital to the staff while visiting a number of patients of the various wards at the hospital.
We owe this to ourselves and to the well-being of our families and our beloved country. We all know that these are challenging times locally, regionally, and internationally, and that the effects will be felt in our health and social services. The continued delivery of safe and quality services to patients and clients is dependent more than ever on the professionalism and extra commitment of our healthcare professionals. Thanks to your hard work, there have been considerable successes. I am aware of the several initiatives that are currently underway to address the calls by many for additional facilities for further specialist care.
Some of these initiatives include, but are not limited to, increased tertiary care services, implementation of strategic plan interventions geared at reducing neonatal infant mortality, and the implementation of a Clean Hands program.
You will also be aware of the recent pronouncement made by the Honorable Prime Minister in his Independence Day address of the pieces of diagnostic equipment that have been procured and are expected to arrive in Ireland by the end of this year. And just to refresh, they are the new updated CT scan machine, which will assist in the diagnosis of medical conditions, the digital mammogram machine, which will assist in examining breast tissue for the diagnosis of breast cancer, and I saw the machine being installed downstairs this morning, the gastroscopy and colonoscopy system, which will assist with the diagnosis of abnormalities within the gastrointestinal tract. And this piece of equipment is also, I understand, currently at the Princess Margaret Hospital. The surgical tower laparoscope, which will allow minor and complex surgeries to be performed in the abdomen or pelvis through small incisions.
He highlighted that the construction of a new modern state-of-the-art hospital will take place in the new year with grant funding provided by the government of the People's Republic of China. The various pieces of new equipment in addition to the new hospital seeks to ensure that better health services are offered to Dominicans while reducing the cost of accessing healthcare abroad.
Given the current global challenges, it can be said that we are making great strides in the area of healthcare. There is still, however, much work to be done, and there will always be scope for improved levels of care. We are fortunate that there are many model healthcare professionals, especially nurses in our service, who take great pride in their work and do not see it as any ordinary job, but as a vocation, a job that calls for love, patience, and compassion. These caring individuals undertake work that is sometimes beyond the call of duty and often unrecognized by those they care for and the community at large.
He reminded the staff of the PMH that the work they do to the health of the citizenry is critical to the well-being of our nation. In other stories, the first major activity of the newly revived DRA, Dominica Reading Association, kicked off on Friday, December 13th with a membership drive. The mission of the DRA is to foster an appreciation of reading through the development of literacy skills. President of the Dominica Reading Association, Mrs. Fern Bruman says, the idea for the DRA was conceptualized when she attended an International Reading Association's conference in the United States.
Our goals, the organization's goals are to organize community groups for the development of literacy programs, to foster lifelong literacy habits, to collaborate with government, non-governmental agencies, and businesses on long-term efforts to improve literacy, and I must say we have accomplished that already. promotes coherent and sustainable literacy initiatives informed by local literacy leaders, promotes reading and writing as lifelong habits and endeavors, promotes ongoing professional development and support for educators.
She added that one of their immediate goals is to become a chartered member of the IRA, International Reading Association. To do so, they would need to have at least 20 members in the local association, 10 of whom were members of the IRA. Chief Education Officer Mrs. Melina Fountain said, while there have been strides in literacy over the past decade, there is a lot more work to be done before they can be fully satisfied.
When we talk about education being a gateway out of poverty, we must understand that literacy is one of the key components of that education. It is an accepted fact that literacy is the hub around which all learning evolves, and that learning can be considered synonymous with development. A lot of research has been and continues to be conducted in the area of literacy. And as we draw down on these researches, we get a clearer understanding of how important it is for us to invest in the area of literacy.
Mrs. Beverly Harris, chair of the Committee for International Development Caribbean, SIDCA, commended those involved in the revival of the DRA for their strides and efforts made toward literacy thus far.
For technology, we are encouraging the use of various media for professional learning communities. We are encouraging sharing with each other, and we're encouraging individual associations to set up websites so that there can be further communication.
In more news, the Regional Training Institute has completed training for new recruits for its training syllabus here in Dominica. The one-week workshop was the third in a series of the Regional Security System RSS training.
We want to improve not just the way we deliver instruction to our candidates, to our recruits, but also to encourage them to think critically on their feet, to address problems, analyze them, and come up with solutions on the fly.
Mr. Phillips says, while there may be a number of adverse comments coming from the police, there is a need to improve delivery to accommodate the 21st century, a need not just for the RSS but also for individual police forces.
And as I make this overture now, I continue to make the overture that even as we speak about curriculum change and standardization, change management and a wider extent of change must be encompassed. And the entire training process must be looked at again, divorcing it from tradition and the weight that hold on tradition, and encouraging the proliferation and indeed the compulsory delivery of technology.
Ms. Yvonne Alexander, RSS Director of Training, remarked that the regional security system will continue to adapt to meet the changes of the regional states. RSS provides training for the Special Services Unit, Maritime and Coast Guard units. Workshop participants included members of the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force and the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. In more news, the Arawak House of Culture was the host to the Roseau City Council's 11th inauguration meeting on Friday, December 13th. The 13 council members were sworn in, and the presentation of the mayoral chain was completed and handed over to the island's first female mayor, Ms. Irene John. Outgoing Mayor Mr. Cecil Joseph says the call to leadership is not one to be taken lightly.
I encourage my following counterparts, Irene John, to please carry on and further better the environment in which we live. Not only are we as leaders supposed to carry the torch, but as said by the great Nelson Mandela, I entrench you to carry the torch with a light. Blaze that light to the uttermost, and make sure that even the darkest rat field holes burn with the same light and desire as you do.
The outgoing mayor is confident that under this new leadership, the city of Roseau will move forward. The newly elected mayor, in a mayoral address, applauded Mr. Joseph for his stewardship throughout the years.
It is clear to us that we have much to be grateful for, and that is why it is so challenging for the City Council in its efforts to keep the city clean. The stakes are so high and expectations so great that it is difficult to meet the demands. I would not like to start my term of office as mayor by making promises, but I need to indicate the areas which will be given the greatest priority and as a matter of urgency.
The new council will give priority to issues including dilapidated properties around the city, rehabilitation of sidewalks, and address the issue of vagrancy and parking space within the capital. Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit commended the work of the former mayor and advised the new elect to follow in his footsteps.
He had been able to establish very strong links with many cities and countries, but more particularly the departments of Martinique and Guadeloupe. I believe the mayor is the second most popular Dominican in Martinique after Jeff Joseph. So I would like to say respectfully to the new mayor that you would want Mr. Joseph to pass on those very important links and connections in the furtherance of the city.
Also present at the inauguration was Honorable Julius Timothy, Honorable Norris Prevost, and Honorable Ambrose George, all of whom represent the citizens of the various parts of the capital. In other stories, a number of students on Friday, December 13th successfully completed a training of refrigeration and air conditioning technicians in alternative technologies hosted by the DSC, Dominica State College. President of the Dominica State College, Dr. Donald Peters, says he was pleased that the students of the DSC participated in this training in alternative technologies, as we need to protect our natural resources.
And anything that you as technicians and professionals can do to reduce fluorocarbons and deplete anything that can deplete our ozone layers, and certainly we want to do that. And so I'm very pleased that a small country like ours is getting familiar with the Montreal Protocol, and so that in the future, when you service commercial and residential equipment, you will certainly do it in a safe way that would not harm the environment. I'm more pleased also that one of the things about universities and colleges, we can say they are to be blamed for most of the damage to the infrastructure of the world, because we have invented everything. MIT, Iowa State Universities, all these major universities have been at the forefront of all the technologies that have been developed and which have helped mankind. And now, so it's only fitting that Dominica State College and all the major universities of the world are participating in doing things that can reverse some of the damages that we've done to the environment.
He advised the students their job as technicians is to ensure their practices are consistent with the rest of the world in using technologies which are non-ozone depleting with low global warming potential. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Environment, Natural Resources, Physical Planning and Fisheries, Dr. Eisenhower Douglas, noted this course came at an opportune time as his ministry is currently working on a strategic program for climate resilience.
The objective is to help the economy to become less vulnerable to the impact of climatic factors, so that, whether you have storms, hurricanes, and even the whole phenomenon of climate change, where you have variability in weather patterns and things of that nature, the economy will be less vulnerable to those events. And that is what we're hoping to start in terms of the battery of projects that will be able to allow us to implement the strategic program for climate resilience. And of course, some of you, I would expect, would find employment at some point in those initiatives, because I get the impression that you all are technicians, and as the President mentioned, that whole area of technical vocational training, there'll be opportunities in that area.
According to Dr. Douglas, the ozone layer is very important, and any substance that may damage or deplete it need to be mitigated. He added, although Dominica is not a net contributor to the adverse effects of climate change, we are part of the global community, and anything we can do to help the global environment to sustain life is positive.
As the Father pities his children, so the Lord pities those who fear him. For he knows our frame and he remembers that we are dust.
On Saturday, December 14th, former President of Dominica, His Excellency Vernon Lawden Shaw, was laid to rest at the Portsmouth Methodist Cemetery. His Excellency was the 5th President of Dominica and served a 5-year term from October 6, 1998 to October 1, 2003 as a candidate of the United Workers' Party. During his professional career, he served as Cabinet Secretary, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Dominica, and resident tutor at the University of the West Indies. He began his education at the Roseau Boys School, the Dominica Grammar School, and the Trinity College. He later attended the University of Oxford in the United Kingdom before beginning a career in the public service in 1948. President Shaw has been described as a wise man who believed in discipline, hard work, and protocol by Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit. Vernon Lawden Shaw died on December 2, 2013. May his soul rest in peace. And in court news, with 12 prior convictions of theft, Andrew Joseph has added another conviction to his sheet. On Friday, December 13, 2013, Joseph failed to pay a forthwith fine of $2,000, was sentenced to prison for stealing an HTC mobile phone and 23 DVDs from the Dominica Souvenir Store. The incident occurred on 10 December 2013 at Roseau. He pleaded guilty to the charges. The defendant, who was recently released from prison, had entered the store and stole the items before making good his escape. He was spotted by a police officer who found him behaving rather suspicious. After being questioned by the police officer, Joseph was arrested on suspicion of theft. That same day, police received a report of a stolen HTC mobile phone and DVDs from a store in town, which Joseph admitted to stealing. Magistrate Ozzie Lewis also explained that the forthwith fine was a result of Joseph's bad record. He was unable to pay the fine and was sent to prison where he will remain for the next 6 months. The phone and DVDs were restituted. Meanwhile, Brian Etienne of Forbahon is out on $14,000 bail. He was charged with possession of cannabis and intent to supply 4,540 grams of cannabis on 11 December 2013 at Lubia. He pleaded not guilty during his arraignment on Friday, December 13, 2013. As part of his bail conditions, he is to report to the Point Michel Police Station every Monday between 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. The trial is set for 20th March 2014. This has been the local segment of the news. Coming up next, regional highlights.